episode will be brought to you by Ghost Ship because she's adorable as fuck.
サボるんじゃない
Alright, so today's topic is going to be about the Overtriggers. Well, specifically the Overtrigger. I don't know why I'm called it the Overtrigger. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about this piece of shit. Cause let's be real, there's two sides of the spectrum. A lot of people want the Overtriggers to stay in the game. And then there's obviously the people who doesn't want them to be in the game anymore. And to be honest, seeing that we're less than 2 weeks away from Overdress finally coming to English format, I think it's like the best time to actually talk about it. So, I'm gonna be real with you. Both arguments are pretty valid. They're pretty solid. I think this is one of the very few times where I feel like that both arguments has a very good reason and very good points as to why this Overtrigger is either busted as hell or it's not really too much of a big deal. So let's actually dig right deep into it. One of the major things that a lot of people from side A, we're going to call the people who wants the Overtriggers to stay in or don't really care about them, the argument is basically that the Overdress triggers are very situational, and that's understandable. They are pretty situational when you really think about it. Even if you were to take the aspect of you only get the extra ability if you drive check into it, so if you damage check into it, you don't get the extra ability or anything else like that. Let's take that out for a prime example. It's still pretty situational. You have, let's say, a 1 out of 46 chance of actually drive checking into your Overdread trigger. There is also the possibility of the Overdread trigger getting into your opening hand or anything else like that. But then you also got to remember that the effects themselves are very situational. Take Keter Sanctuary for a prime example. Keter Sanctuary allows every single rear guard on your front row rear guard circles to get dry checks whenever they attack. Okay, so the ideal situation is to have two grade 3s on both your front row rear guard circles, so when they attack, they get twin drive. This will equal a total of 6 drive checks altogether. 2 from your vanguard and 4 from each of your and 2 each from both of your rear guard vanguards. I mean, not vanguards, rear guards, but you understand what I mean. 2 from both of your rear guards, which is actually understandable. It gets you 6 drive checks, and that's basically the ideal situation. What makes them situational is if you were on grade 1 or grade 2 turn. Because on your grade 1 turn, there's a high percent chance that you don't have any other rear guards on your field. Therefore, you hit the Overdread trigger, but it fizzles. And then when you think about grade 2 turn, you might have 1 or 2 rear guards on your rear guard circle. So let's put in this particular context, we have 2 rear guards. You're only getting single drive checks from it, which is actually somewhat pretty dangerous because now your opponent has to either 1 to pass or no pass it altogether, but it's only single drive checks. Compared to if you had a full field of grade 3s, you get twin drive after each attack. So that's what makes them very situational. They're not, it's basically at the end of the day, you have to hit the Overdread trigger at the right particular time. Otherwise, it's just going to fizzle if you hit it at the wrong time. The only one that doesn't have to really worry about this is Dark States, because regardless, you're going to get the 10k plus boost each of their turn for the rest of the game. So it doesn't matter when they hit it. Is there an ideal setting that they need to hit it in? Yeah, I feel like the very first drive check on your grade 1 turn is the best time to hit it. Because then your opponent has to deal with that the whole game. And even if you don't hit it at that particular time, you still have you still have your grade 2 turn, your grade 3 turn, you still have the mid to late game to hit it. Like, it's going to be a very good effect regardless of when you hit this particular trigger. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But that's, in my personal opinion, is kind of the thing that when everybody says, "Oh, they're very situational," and because of this, because you have to deal with both the RNG of actually hitting this at the right particular time and everything being situational and everything else like that, you shouldn't really care about it. But then you also got to put into the context of the people who wants the overtriggers out of it. Yes, they're very situational, but it's more of a matter of not if it happens, it's when it happens. Is all, like, for one, in my personal opinion, I feel like 100 million is too much. I feel like that if they were going to do this, it shouldn't be a 100 million. In my personal opinion, I think it should be like maybe 20K or 30K. Like, that would make sense, because if it's 20K or 30K, then even though your opponent has to still PG it or anything else like that, you also got to remember that they have a chance to guard it outside of just PGing it. You know, oh, now they can, use a bunch of like triggers that they had in their hand to block the attack. So then the attack, yes, is very high, but it's not overpowered. You still have a way to block everything with that particular percentage compared to 100 million where it's literally PG or die. That's basically the premise of it, is PG or die. But you also got to remember that this is one of those situations where if you hit it at the right time, like let's take that situational thing and think about it. You hit it at the right particular time where you have everything set up. Going back to the Keter Sanctuary thing, where you had two grade threes in the front row, you hit it at the right time. They basically take the damage because, like, let's say they didn't like PG or anything else like that. Those other two twin drive chests could kill them just because they hit it at the right particular time. But you also got to remember that triggers rule the game of Vanguard at the end of the day. Like, when you narrowed it all down, triggers ruin. I mean, they don't ruin the game. They run the game all at the end of the day. So when you put everything into consideration, everybody has been in that situation where they either lost a game majorly or won a game majorly, or had that one particular point where you were winning and you were instantly losing because somebody hit a trigger at the right particular time. Like, think about that for a second. Everybody has dealt with miracle healing. Everybody has dealt with getting double critted. Everybody's been getting hit with triple crits. Everybody has dealt with that situation where they had the ability to block everything, but that one particular trigger makes it so that now one of the units is powerful enough to, oh, they can't block it no more. Or let's even get up to that situation where you could have two to pass something because both of the top cards are triggers, but obviously you didn't know that. You put one of the triggers onto one of your rear guards. The second one turns out to be another trigger, but your opponent has a way to block all of that and just immediately end your shit. Think about like one of those times where, oh, I have no cards in hand. The twin dry check or the triple dry check are nothing but grade threes. You don't kill your opponent off. You're at 5 damage. You about to get your shit rocked, son. I mean, let's be real on that. That has happened before. No, anybody who says it never happened to them is straight up capping. I'm gonna just be real with you on that. Straight up capping. So I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like that the overdread triggers, it's a very retarded mechanic. I will admit, part of me does like the fact that the overdread triggers are triggers with abilities, which is something we definitely need in the game. But at the same time, I also agree with a lot of people on the other side that once the Overtrigger's gone, because they are too powerful, they are at a point where they can actually dictate how the game goes or dictate who wins or who loses the game or whatnot, because let's be real, people has that luck factor. There's people who actually has that legitimate luck factor where they hit triggers at the right particular time. There's going to be days where you don't hit triggers at the right particular time. There's going to be days where you don't see a single trigger not one happening once. Like, trust me, that happened to me before. I know that happens to a lot of people too. It sucks because there's going to be a time where you go into a tournament setting and it happens. You drawn to your overtread trigger, so you don't get a chance to use it, but your opponent hits it at the right particular time and you lose the match because of it. That's a shitty feeling. So overall, alright, so let me know what you guys think about this. This is actually a pretty interesting topic. I know like the whole thing is blown over. I kind of wanted to talk about this a lot sooner, but it's whatever. This has been the Haters Guide. My name is Mr. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor Jones Rafa, signing out.
サボるんじゃない